Hello, everyone, and welcome to the MPE podcast. So today we will be focusing on payment infrastructure 2.0. So my name is Charlotte Usta. I'm a principal at Flagship Advisory Partners. We are a boutique consultancy firm focused on payments and fintech. And today I'm joined by the wonderful Ugne. So before we kick into the question, we'd love if you can briefly introduce yourself and also speak about your company.
Sure, no problem. My name is Ugne Buraciene. I'm the group CEO of payabl. We consider ourselves as the Lego of the payment industry. It's a very nice way to put that we have all of that it takes and all the different building blocks for the companies to service themselves in terms of anything related to payments, acquiring, issuing, banking as a service, and they can choose the best parts and work, through with their business.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect for the topic as well. And
exactly.
So that also leads to my first question. So how would you effectively define payment infrastructure 2.0, and what does it effectively mean for all of the different ecosystem players, including merchants?
It's a very good question, and I think it's a very broad question. And I think we could talk probably around it for quite some time. But I think ultimately, to just break it down in very simple terms, I think it's the ultimate optimization and also the instance of the payments and doing things, in real time.
Yeah.
And this is basically how the platform in general and the infrastructure of payments, should really look like, right? So all interoperable, all instant and in real time. But of course, that requires a lot of development and a lot of different moving parts, to collaborate in order to make it happen.
Yeah. And you already mentioned a couple of things here, right? Optimization.
Correct.
Amongst other things. What do you think are like the biggest challenges that merchants are facing today? Because they operate across multiple markets, obviously multiple channels, etc. What's your thoughts on this?
I think it's very, I can answer very quickly, and I can answer it with one word, is complexity. So I think that is the biggest challenge, the fragmentation and the complexity in everything that, that our clients, do. When you think about, how difficult it is, to operate throughout all different rails, throughout different, geographies. And we're not only talking about, technical part, but there's the regulatory part and compliance, and also the operational parts for clients, which is actually the biggest burden, right? Because it's the reconciliations, the transparency of the information and the data that that they need to receive. So all of that is still very fragmented and is still quite complex for the merchants. And this is why it's important, to focus on these challenges and to make it. Obviously, we cannot, change everything overnight, but there's definitely a lot of, should be a lot of focus in streamlining that, for the merchants.
And you just mentioned it, right? Fragmented, complex.
Yes.
Do you think there will be a wave of consolidation?
Everyone asks that question, and I honestly want to say no. But I think some things are really becoming a commodity in payments. And I think there is some commodities that will be more obvious. Like in my view, payment orchestration is slowly becoming a commodity. And in terms of the consolidation, I think there's benefits and I think there's negatives. And in my view, there's also companies, do and specialize things, really well. And I think it should remain that. But I'm not anticipating, let's say, a huge change in that.
That makes sense. And so that also leads into my next question. Why do you see some providers effectively combining multiple product stacks into one? So it can be like,7acquiring, banking, payouts, broader financial tools, so services into one platform.
Well, it's a great question, but that's exactly what we do at payabl. Long time I already see that payment processing and acquiring is just also a commodity. Anyone can do it, and many acquirers can do it really well. But ultimately, when you think about what merchants really need and what they need, day to day, it's a full management of cash flow. So meaning that end to end, the full control and transparency, and also management of their cash flow and anything related, to their money flow. So taking care of the money acceptance, the money movement, the payouts, also the settlements, the clearing, the FX, liquidity, all of that is still required. And I think there's a real reason for it, why we do it, because we want clients, to have that ease and transparency of managing their funds, because the funds really start very early on in the chain. And then in order for them to be utilized and to be used, it's quite a long way. And also in a lot of cases, it's a very simple, understanding that the more money moves, the more it costs. So our goal is to make the money move as least as possible for the benefit of ours and for the benefit of the client, and with the appropriate amount of transparency and flexibility.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think, if like a payment service provider or like a fintech can effectively like, support the merchant on both like, the pay in side, the payout side, and then like layer over like, banking, that's super powerful also in the context of, embedded finance.
Absolutely, yes.
So that's I fully agree with that.
No, embedded finance is a great asset also for merchants to utilize, and I think and this is the beauty also of payment service providers like us, that we take care of all of the complexity in that, so they don't have to worry about the regulatory part. We give them the ready solution, and they can use the best parts of it, which is fantastic.
Yeah. I think they're really busy enough to actually effectively try to sell the product, right?
Exactly.
Then
to
actually looking
operate in different markets, to sell their product, to invest in marketing, and the operational side for the business is still quite significant. If you take fraud and other things into account, it takes a lot of time for clients. So it's good that that payment service providers are focusing on that and making sure that part is taken care of as much as possible and as good as possible. So at least to alleviate them from that burden.
Yeah, I fully agree, because otherwise you need to change your business model, right?
Exactly. Then became payment experts, fraud experts, and then went to actually do, the actual business, which, is actually, or selling or any kind of services, that they have. So it's true. You have to rely on counterparties that are doing that, for you and doing it well. And we, for example, from our side, what we do is that we have a buy and build model. So that's a lot of tools that obviously we build by ourselves, but also we buy the best in the market when we see that we will not compete with somebody that already does it really well. Let's say in terms of fraud solutions or AI integrated, platforms for fraud. Why go and invent the wheel if we can also make the selection for those set clients? So we choose it. We deliver, and the client can just enjoy and not worry about whether doing, a scope study to see which ones are the best, for example, in the case of fraud.
And you just touched on the hottest topic probably discussed in fintech and payments in 2026, which is AI.
Oh, no. Yes. Why did I say that? So sorry.
So how do you see AI disrupting or being like, a catalyst as you think about payment infrastructure?
I think of it as a sort of double-edged sword. So it's great for many things. And definitely there's a lot of use cases that are already being implemented. And for us as a payment service provider, we use multiple AI tools for fraud prevention and all of this. But the other side is that also AI can be used from negative sense as well. So the fraudsters are getting extremely well educated. And if you see the use cases that can be done with fraudulent AI tools, it's quite a significant, let's say, issue. So there is a balance of basically good and I suppose evil in this sense. And I think we don't really yet know the full capabilities of both. But it's very interesting to see how the companies will manage that. And we are definitely doing, I would say, strategically placing AI as a quite focus for the company, but we're really focusing on the operational and fraud side for the time being. And we're closely following also all of the agentic e-commerce and all of this, which is happening. But as anything in payments, the adoption and making it really good takes time because it is a very complex environment. And even if you talk about the agentic AI, for example, payments, it will take a lot of reiterations for it to really work. So we are always on the side looking to see how all of the participants are resolving some of those issues. And then when the time is right and we see that this is already something, that we could really jump into, then we do. That's our approach. And then for everything else that we see that is really a big benefit, today, then we do invest, and we invest in those tools and in partnerships as well. And we have a very cool partnership later on coming up as well for AI.
Makes sense. I mean, I agree, especially in the fraud space. It's where we have seen AI really kind of changing a lot, right, in terms of machine learning, etc. And you're also right. It's where we see a lot of fraud being reinvented with now it's not only transaction fraud, but it's account protection, whatnot. Yeah. Because fraudsters are effectively becoming way more sophisticated. Yeah, so I agree.
We did a study actually on fraud, and 80% of, or 85% of the businesses were affected in 12 months' time of some type of scam or fraud activity. It also takes businesses 22 working days a year to deal with fraud or scams. So meaning fraudulent returns or anything related to that. So it's a huge proportion of time when you think about it. So this is something that, and if we talk about specific types of fraud, right, there's the deep fakes that are happening, and almost every other business gets hit by it. It's they're getting really, really advanced. And it's very difficult also for businesses, to understand what is basically real, what is not. So that's something that, that's definitely to watch out for. And we are also taking notes for sure.
No, absolutely. I think it's the right focus. And indeed, like 22 days is an enormous figure.
Right. It's a full working month.
Yeah.
So and also fraud in general is not only about the financial loss. It's the reputational loss, and it's also the operational time loss that that these companies are spending. So this is something that should be always a priority in our mind. And whenever we test anything, or whenever something new comes into the industry, we should be very careful, because as I said, it's a double-edged sword. Something that it's made to simplify maybe someone's life will not really simplify the life of the merchant, for example, in this case.
No, fully agree. And Ugne, would love to go back to one of the real disruptive topic as well, interesting topic in Europe as it comes to Wero. How do you see Wero impacting the European payments landscape?
I think it's very needed, and it's a really great initiative. We are the early adopters. We were one of the first financial institutions to integrate Wero. We are for choice to clients, and we really wish that that it will succeed. But adoption, of course, takes time, as with everything. And it needs a little bit of adjusting, and but the most important thing that it is European and is pan-European. The banks are joining, the countries are being opened up slowly. So I think it's a great place to be, and account-to-account payments in general is a good option for clients, and we're happy also that we can offer that selection to our clients as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was an important sovereign step as well needed in Europe.
Absolutely. And it works. What also differs, from other initiatives as well, that, the way that it's set up more of a payment scheme than anything else, which also resolves some of the issues, let's say, with some other account-to-account payment, let's say, providers So I'm really looking forward to having more payments than through Wero, and our clients already have that option, and we're offering it to everybody as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Looking forward to the next couple of years and see how adoption is going to be. If you were to have a crystal ball, what do you think is going to be the biggest shift in the payment infrastructure landscape over the next couple of years? And what should merchants effectively be on the lookout for?
I love that question, and I hate that question, because I think I answer it every year almost the same, and I've been in the payments for, I think, almost 18 years. I don't feel that anything dramatic is changing. Yes, there's a lot of interesting things going on in terms of, the agentic AI and all of that, which is cool. And, we will see how that space, develops. But ultimately, all of the issues that we discussed about complexity, fragmentation still remains. So we're by far not yet done having something that that works really flawlessly, and that the merchants really need, and they're happy to say, okay, I will not need to look for another provider, or it's really resolved a certain problem for them. So I think what I will see, and I'm sure that that's what's basically going to continue for the next couple of years, is that what we have now, but in a better execution form. So better streamline, better improvements, and in the infrastructure layers as well, right? And on the offering side, to the clients as well. So I think we will see a lot of that. And maybe some consolidation a little bit in terms of, maybe some payment service providers and all of that. But in general, I don't expect something, to be as a huge shift. If we talk about, alternative payment methods or account-to-account, yes, there is growth. But in order to be a really significant shift, it needs to have a really fast, adoption rates as well, right? So I think it's just what I see is that we're getting better, and hopefully in a couple of years' time we will be even better than we are today.
Yeah, I agree with that. We are coming to the end of the podcast, and let me just ask you a question. Is there anything I haven't asked that you would like to add to our discussion today?
Oh, good point. No, I think we covered quite a lot of things, and I think in general MPE was, as always, is a great show. It's always good to be here, and also to hear all of these, things that are happening, and also just to have a reality check. So happy to be here today on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ugne. It was great,
so much.
Great podcast. And thank you very much for listening and watching, and see you at MPE this year or the following year. Thank you.